Don't we all as teachers know the importance of fantasy and story in children's learning? Don't we also know just how difficult it is to record children in extended conversation when they're very young? This next clip is an absolute gem. We see Chris and Ella from the Willows First School in West Sussex talking about their recent visit to a castle and what happened next.
We went to Portchester and we found a golden egg when we were going back to the coach. And when we came to school, there was a dragon, baby dragon, behind the pewter.
And as the dragon grew up, we were teaching it to be good, but it just wouldn't listen, would it, Chris?
No.
Because it's what we were trying to teach it to do. We were trying to teach it the Willow's ways, but we read how to breathe fire, how to fly and things like that.
Then, when we come back to school, when we came back, we found 3 burnt books, didn't we, Ella?
Yeah, and we had to go in, and a few days later, when we got back to school, the dragon was gone.
It's lovely to see the way the two children talk to each other, the way they communicate, the conversation develops, and they're very mature in the way they speak. Ella's fascinating because she, in some ways, plays the typical girl, the stereotypical girl. She sits there and she faces the teacher and she talks away and she does all the mannerisms that help her to explain it. Whereas Chris, he does all the things that stereotypical boys do. He stabs the dragon, he rests on the floor, he looks through his telescope, I don't know what that's about. There's so much in this for us to think about as professionals. The first thing I noticed was how the children were able to have the conversation and how little the adult joined in. In fact, I think the grown-up only speaks 3 or 4 times within the whole of that conversation. She asks very, very small questions and just prompts it to move forward. She doesn't ask the children the things that she already knows. In fact, she doesn't know the answers, and that's why it's such a good, genuine conversation. In so many of our schools, children just get used to the grown-up asking questions to which they already know the answer. They think, what a funny conversation we're having. Now, any school could use this as a technique. You simply take grown-ups from classroom to classroom and they ask questions of children about the work they've been doing and they genuinely don't know the answers.
We've got a computer in our classroom that's very good. And there's letters. We get letters and then there's a Cardiff Castle we got.
So you got an email from Cardiff Castle?
Yeah, and we found out because they sent us another email back because we asked them what castle are you stuck at, and they said Cardiff Castle in Wales.
So and we had a globe book and a globe, what goes round, and when at the back it tells you where you need to find Cardiff Castle.
And how far away is it, do you think?
It's in Wales, quite far away.
It's 4 metres to get there. 4 hours, isn't it?
4 hours to get there?
Yeah, we think it is, because we think... did we find it out?
Yeah, because we're in Lancing and they're in Wales, so it's quite far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we found it out on a map, didn't we?
And then, of course, you get into the more subtle things that teachers have helped them to learn. How to use the globe book and look at the back for the index and find out where Cardiff was. And when they realised that it's only 4 metres away, you were probably laughing, but actually what they then said was, is 4 metres right? And they were self-checking, working it out together. And then it came down to perhaps Cardiff is 4 hours away. It's very sophisticated when children start talking about measurement in terms of hours or distance to travel or time. Really, really good thinking.
We were writing posters because we're trying to get a knight to go and actually not kill the dragons, but go go to rescue them.
Of course, all of this is built on the fantasy, the let's pretend world that the teachers created. What a lovely idea on the way back to the bus to find the dragon's egg. And then to build it up gradually over time so that the children absolutely enmeshed in this story. I wonder, do they think there's really a dragon? Do they wonder whether there's a dragon? Do they know there's not a dragon? Does it matter? This let's pretend world is the vehicle for so much knowledge and understanding coming through.
The knight's got to be brave, fearless and
Good.
yeah, good and strong.
And strong.
Typically, children gain knowledge from teachers, from textbooks, from the web. At St Peter's School in Cleveland, children made contact with a former pupil who's now an astronaut on the NASA space programme to find out more about life in space and space exploration. Rather than emails and letters, they thought they'd set up a video link.
So if you're ready, then we're ready. Can we start?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll just pan across so you can see all their smiling faces. Okay, and then... Lovely, right. Georgia is going to ask the first question.
We are very proud that you were born in Saltburn. What do you remember about Saltburn and might you come back on a visit?
It's very difficult for me to get away from Houston sometimes with my training. And of course, right now we have a mission. We have a space shuttle in space. So as soon as I finished here, I had to go off to mission control and find out what's going on. But I'd love to come back, and when I do and make it up to the north of England, I will absolutely come and visit the school.
This is a special event. We're contacting somebody on the other side of the world and we're having a conversation by video. So they are learning about ICT and the power of communication and using communication for the best purposes possible. But equally, they're learning about space, about the frontiers of design and technology, food technology and so on.
What is space food like? What is it like to eat and drink while floating about?
Well, Charlotte, I brought some examples of space food. I have here a packet of dried food. This one is called mashed potatoes. And let me see if you can see inside that one. It doesn't look very appetizing like that. Chris is going to help me here. Ah, here we go. Can you all see my dried food? Mashed potatoes on the left, and green beans and mushrooms on the right.
Most schools in England could track down somebody that they could follow through and get in touch with to ask, what are you doing now and how did you get to the position you're in? They don't have to be astronauts. They could be people who are baggage handlers at the airport, porters at the hospital, somebody who delivers post, somebody who's in charge of a bank. How did they work through their career? What difference did schooling make? Somehow we've got to show children the point of all this learning so that they can see how they can map out a future for themselves.
Hello, Dr. Patrick. My name is Ben. Can you tell us what it is like to take off into space? Is it frightening?
It's not frightening, but it's very exciting. You're lying on your back, and then the clock starts counting down, and when it reaches 0, the engines light, and you're pushed up into the sky, and you feel yourself get very, very heavy. And this goes on for 8.5 minutes. And by the end of that, you're traveling at about 28,000 kilometers an hour.
So schools need to be outward looking, trying to find people who can help them, looking for people with the expertise in the local community to make possible what will change children's lives and move their learning forward.
This is my project about the measures that man can go to prevent and control flooding.
Bourton Meadow School in Buckingham is subject to the risk of flooding, and the teachers there use that as a way of getting the youngsters to look into aspects of flooding on a big scale. This is Connor, Year 6. I think it's a really good film for showing what Connor knows, what he's found out and what he understands.
Then once we had all our information, we brought it back to school so that we basically, first of all, we did a first draft of all of it so that we could change bits if we needed to. Then we wrote it down in our books and then we wrote it on this.
You can see his understanding of the process he's gone through. We took it home and we did some work for homework and we planned it, then we brung it back to school And of course, when we brought it back to school, we worked on it. And he knows as much about what he doesn't know as what he does know. He's a real digger of knowledge.
Well, for housing protection, you could have sandbags, you could have planning, which is where you can have all sorts of security systems that tell you if there's going to be a flood soon. I looked it up, but I couldn't really find out how they do it.
What you see is a youngster who's in control of himself and in control of his own learning. It tells you something about the way the teachers operate, doesn't it? It says they give you the scope, they set you some challenges, but they expect you to take it on for yourself.
Well, on mine I had loads of different options that you could use to prevent flooding. You could have, well, they split them into hard and soft engineering options, which basically are only used for not just, say, a house, but say the whole town or something. But hard engineering options basically means expensive, and soft means cheaper.
One of the problems we face in Britain is to encourage young people to take up careers in industries such as engineering. Often they don't see the link between the world of work and what they do in the classroom. So how do we encourage them to know more about things? Well, one way is to ask each other.
What made you decide to work in the engineering, especially when it's such a male world?
I was always interested in engineering type work. At first I wasn't that bothered that it was so male dominated.
And did you know any other girls that were already in the industry?
Not when I first started looking, but I do now.
This film is part of a media diploma programme where the youngsters are working out how they would operate cameras, how they would construct interviews. So it's actually children's work. Isn't it a difficult job being a teacher? You want the children to pick up knowledge and understanding, but you've got to find a technique to help them to do it. I mean, we could pass out the books on engineering. We could take the children to watch a film about engineering. There's something magical about youngsters being the feature of the film that other youngsters watch. It's even more magical when youngsters themselves have made the film that other youngsters watch. And so there's something about the way in which the teachers set this up and made it happen that gives it extra oomph.
What did it feel like being almost the only girl in the industry?
Well, when I first started, it was really scary because there was just men everywhere, and it was really hard to get over that, but now it's fine.
So you are looking forward to your future career?
Yeah, because I love my job. There's so much to learn and it's always interesting.
In these 4 clips today, we've been able to see children using knowledge in different ways. They're all about children talking to each other, talking to grown-ups, talking just to a camera. They're about children showing what they know, but also exploring things that they want to find out. And what we see is these children really fascinated by learning about the world in which they live. Whether they're teenagers who are on the brink of work, or whether they're small children living in a fantasy world that's so exciting. And of course, what's helping that knowledge to grow is the experience that children meet and those brilliant teachers who are helping them to meet it. Let's keep opening the door to knowledge. It's so important. I wonder if you've captured a really inspiring piece of learning on video. I'm looking for short video clips to use in this series. So visit the Teachers TV website to find out how you can send your videos to me.